Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me offer a suggestion as to what I think underlines this debate. You see, I think that some of our friends over here on this side know that the American people, many American people, are very angry, and they're very frustrated. And the reason is that despite what we read in the newspapers every day about our quote-unquote booming economy, what our Republican friends know, some of our Democratic friends know, is that the ordinary American is working longer hours for lower wages. What our Republican friends know is that most of the new jobs that are being created are low-wage jobs. They're often part-time jobs. They're temporary jobs. So the average American today is frustrated and is angry because his or her standard of living is in decline. And they look around and they say, well, why am I in worse shape than I was 10 years ago? Why are my kids in worse shape than was the case in the previous generation? And instead of having the courage to look at the real causes of our problems, trying to understand that our jobs now are going to China and to Mexico, trying to deal with the fact that while the richest people in America have never had it so good, standard of living of working people is in decline. Trying to understand that the minimum wage has not kept pace with inflation for 40 years. Trying to really address the frustrations and the angers of the middle class. What our Republican friends are saying, we know why you're hurting, and you're hurting because all of your money is going to those people. They're the ones who are taking your tax dollars. They forget to talk about the $125 billion a year that goes to corporate welfare, tax breaks and subsidies to the largest multinational corporations in the country, many of which are taking our jobs to China and Mexico. We don't talk about that. They don't talk about a housing policy through the home interest mortgage deduction program, which allows billionaires to get checks from the government when they deduct the interests on their mortgage from their mansions. We don't talk about that. But what we say, it's the poor people. And then if we're going to target the poor people, we got to figure out a way to humiliate them. So what we say is, if you're poor and you live in a housing project, you must, underline, work. Now, how do you have a volunteer program when you force somebody to work? I have never heard about that. Now, some people say, well, we want to help these poor people. What about creating jobs that actually pay something? Are you going to work with me for having public works programs and get those people out so they can earn a paycheck? I haven't heard that. What you're saying is, we want you to work, but we're not going to pay you. We're going to give tremendous power and authority to your supervisor, the administrator at the Public Housing Authority, to tell you what you're going to be volunteering to do. I would suggest that what this entire process is really about is scapegoating, is having the middle class and the working people think that their problems associated because of the poor, rather than looking what the wealthy and the powerful are doing. I would suggest, somebody here before said about upper income people, you have upper income people who are getting checks who don't work. And we haven't heard any suggestion that maybe those people might want to be forced to volunteer in order to get their checks from the government. I would suggest that this entire policy is one of an effort to humiliate poor people, is to get the middle class in opposition to poor people, rather than to really look at what the causes of our problems are. I would yield back the balance of my time.